said, I'm not giving up on that. So I think it is possible that those forces will still work to help us bring inflation down. We can't be guaranteed that that's true though, and so we're trying to use our tools in a way that keeps the labor market strong and the economy strong, but also helps bring inflation back down to 2% sustainably. We will bring inflation down to 2% sustainably. We hope we can do it without significant dislocations in the labor market or elsewhere.
And speaking of dislocations in the labor market, in terms of cutting, you said if there were weakness in the job market, that could be a reason to cut rates. So if the unemployment rate were to tick above 4%, but inflation not back down to your 2% target, how would you look at that? Would the unemployment rate popping back above 4% catch your attention?
I said an unexpected weakening is the way I characterize it. So, and I'm not going to try to define exactly what I mean by that, but, it'd have to be meaningful and get our attention and lead us to think that the labor market was really significantly weakening for us to want to react to it. A couple of tenths in the unemployment rate would probably not do that, but it would be a broader thing that would suggest that it would be appropriate to consider cutting. I think whether you decide to cut will depend on all the facts and circumstances, not just that one.
Chair Powell, thanks for taking the question. Kyle Campbell with American Banker. You've said that broad and material changes are needed for the Basel III endgame proposal, and you've mentioned that a reproposal is something that's on the table. As you've had more time to sort of sit with the public commentary, process that, and understand the options available to you, do you have a better sense of whether a reproposal will be necessary? And do you have a timeline in mind for when some sort of movement will be made on that front, either a reproposal or a move to finalize?
So let me start by saying that the Fed is committed to completing this process and carrying out Basel III endgame in a way that's faithful to Basel and also comparable to what the other large comparable jurisdictions are doing. We haven't made any decisions on policy or on process at all. Nothing. No decisions have been made. I'll say again, though, if we conclude that reproposal is appropriate, we won't hesitate to insist on that.
And then do you need to resolve issues with the capital proposal in order to advance other parts of the regulatory agenda, or do you expect to continue to make progress on those other agenda items?
In the sense of trying to achieve consensus, which you recently identified as a priority, while allowing for a range of views or even dissent. We don't see many dissenting votes in the official statements, even when more spirited discussions are noted in the minutes after the fact. How do you avoid groupthink and avoid a higher risk of a policy mistake? Thank you.
So I think if you listen to, and you all do, listen to my 18 colleagues on the FOMC, you'll see that we do not lack for a diversity of voices and perspectives. We really don't. And it's one of the great aspects of the Federal Reserve System. We have 12 reserve banks around the country where they have their own economic staff, not the people who work here at the board. They're different people, and so each reserve bank has its own culture around monetary policy and its own approach and that kind of thing. It guarantees you a diversity of perspectives. So I think that the perspectives are very diverse. But and in terms of dissents, we have dissents, and a thoughtful dissent is a good thing. If someone really makes you think, that kind of thing. But all I can say from my standpoint is I listen carefully to people. I try to incorporate their thinking, or do everything I can to incorporate their thinking into what we're doing. And I think many people, if they feel that's happening, that for most people, most of the time, that'll be enough. But I'm not. It's not frowned upon or illegal or against the rules.